Hello and welcome to today's career chat. I'm Shannon Crooks, a librarian 3 at the Hillcrest Heights Branch, and today we have Michael Cangelosi. He is a visitor services manager with the Pentuxet Research Refuge, and he's also been, what's the other career you've been doing?
I was with the National Park Service prior to this.
Park Ranger, correct. So we're going to ask Michael a couple of questions about his career. We hope this inspires you to maybe look into this career or get more information about this career in the future. And Michael, today we have teens and adults listening. So I try to gear our conversations around that audience. So sometimes I'll jump in and say something geared towards each audience as a tip for them in their career journey.
Great.
Okay, so first question is, what is a visitor services manager and what are your duties?
Yeah, so here at the Patuxent Research Refuge, we have a visitor center that is open to the public out of COVID times. It's a large center with displays representing the entire Fish and Wildlife Service region across the country. So my job is to make sure visitors are coming in, make sure our visitor service staff is ready to do programs. We offer all kinds of programs for different diverse audiences. We have special events here that I host or help host. And then a main component of my position is going to be community outreach. We want to get our local community more engaged. You'd be surprised how many people in the local area don't even know about us or have heard about us but never come in to visit us. So we want to change that. We want to get everybody back into nature. So a large part of my job is going to be going out working with schools and libraries and community centers and really just educating people that we're here and inviting them to come out and enjoy us in the wilderness.
Awesome. So how long have you been working in this particular industry?
Oh, in visitor services, quite a while. So before this, I worked at YMCA's in the nonprofit sector, and I did a lot of customer service and visitor services there, putting on programs. And then I started my federal career about 10 years ago with the Americorps NCCC, and it was a program for 18 to 24-year-olds dedicating a year to national service. So we can hopefully talk about that. But so I got in that way. And then National Park Service, I was with them 2.5 years, and then I just transferred over here. So I'm kind of in the visitor services most of my career.
Oh, okay. So what was your educational path from high school to where you are now?
Yeah, so after high school, I enrolled at Salisbury State University down on the Eastern Shore. I did a year there. I thought I was going to do education, so classroom teacher. I did a year there and realized I just couldn't be in a classroom every day. It just wasn't me. So still the desire to instruct and teach and engage with people and help them learn. So I went back to community college for a year, didn't know what I really wanted to do, got my associate's degree, and then I did take a gap year, and I actually served in Americorps NCCC. So I did 10 months of community service down in the Southeast region. And it was there that I met somebody that worked at an environmental center and realized that it could be a career. So I talked to him. Once I found out that I could make a living, teaching and working in the outdoors, I applied to college, never went to visit, just showed up on my first day, did a 1.5 years in Vermont in environmental education, outdoor education. And after that, started working for environmental centers.
Wow. So I've talked to several people during these career chats each week, and everyone has pretty much said the same thing. They've networked when they've went on different either volunteer opportunities or different career opportunities, and they talk with someone and they connect them with another career that really interests them. So I can't stress enough to the viewers to try to network as much as possible. I think you've heard every week that each person I've interviewed has said that they networked with someone, which has led them to where they are today. So it's so important that we continue networking with people.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, on that, my 2 positions, I've known somebody in the agency from past jobs that I did. So when I was working with Americorps, I worked with U.S. Fish and Wildlife overseeing a wildland firefighting program. So even though I wasn't in Fish and Wildlife, I was able to use a Fish and Wildlife employee as a reference. So that did me a service. And the same thing for Americorps, I was able to use a reference that worked there. So yes, it took a while to learn, but networking is a huge part of securing a job in the field that you want.
Yes, thank you. And tell us a little bit about Americorps. You're the first person I've interviewed who's been a part of that. So I know young
Yeah.
people can join.
Yeah, absolutely. So Americorps is run by the Corporation for National and Community Service. They have adult programs as well as youth programs. And the good thing with most Americorps programs is you get an education award. So right now for a full term of service, which would be 10 months to a year, it's 1,700 hours of service, and you would get about a little over $6,000 to use for educational purposes. Are very different programs. I did the National Civilian Community Corps. It was built off the Civilian Conservation Corps of the 1930s and 1940s, where they went and worked in a lot of national parks and planted a lot of trees, built roads, did firework. So I signed up. I was on a team of 10 people. We had a 15-passenger van. We had one team leader. We drove around the Southeast every 6 to 8 weeks. We changed jobs, and it was always doing some kind of service. So we worked in the environmental field. We did disaster services, unmet human needs, education in inner city schools. It was just an incredible experience to, get experience doing so much different types of work. And like I said, you meet people from all different backgrounds and people that, you wouldn't normally hang out with or meet. And it was just a life-changing event for me. And like I said, it did guide me to my career path.
Wow. So in order to join Americorps, is there a certain age requirement?
So for Americorps NCCC, the National Civilian Community Corps, it is 18 years of age or older, and you max out at 24 years of age, but you can be a team leader at any age. So 18 to, we've had a team leader that was 60-year-old living and working with 18-year-olds, but most people, are in their upper 20s to mid 30s to be a team leader. But there are programs, like I said, there's a senior corps for older adults. I would just go Google Americorps, and there will be a whole host of programs that come up.
Awesome. A lot of our young people have to have volunteer hours, so this will be a great way for them to get involved. And also to test out a career, maybe they're interested in wildlife, but they're not sure, and they could, do it for a couple of months just to see if it's something they really want to pursue further. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another program that I actually am an alum of as well, which is the Student Conservation Association. And it's a core program, but they focus on just environmental stuff. So you could go work in a national park, and they do have youth crews starting, I believe, at age 14 or 15 that you can go during the summer, and they'll fly you out. They'll give you housing, whatever state you end up in, and you work on trails, throughout the summer. So there's tons of programs through that. There are internships. You get your living allowance. You get somewhere to live. And then you get your education award as well. So the Student Conservation Association, if you have any desire, any thought that you might want to do something outdoors, I would go sign up for an internship through them. Like you said, try it for a couple of months. You'll either love it or not, but you'll know where you want to go.
Yes, awesome. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I've never heard of that one either. So great opportunity for our young people to get involved. So Michael, how did you get interested in your profession? You told us a little bit about it earlier, but anything else you could add to that?
Yeah, so it was growing, as a kid. Some families go hiking and camping and all that stuff, and I wasn't really exposed to that. My parents, it just wasn't what they did. So my dad started taking me hiking, and I got engaged with that. And I remember even as young as 5th grade, I had to do a report on Maryland, and I did it on a national park out in central Maryland, Catoctin Mountain National Park. So something about me, I was just intrigued about, the outdoors and wilderness. I loved to play outside, and, I would just go ride my bike through the woods and play in the creek and, all kinds of stuff. So it was kind of a developing love. And then I would say probably the first thing that got me was when I went to Salisbury State, they had an option to take an orientation course. Either when you went to school, you had to do it in classroom for the first semester, or you could do a wilderness experience. So I signed up for a wilderness experience, and it was 2-week canoeing up in Algonquin Provincial Park up in Canada. And it was 2 weeks out in the woods. You carried all your food, all your gear, you slept out. We canoed, probably 10 to 15 miles a day. It was just a really immersive wilderness program. And I got through that and I loved it. So I was like, okay, if I can do this for 2 weeks, so it just kept building. And then after I did that, I started working at a adventure camp where we went rock climbing and canoeing and all these other outdoor activities, mountain biking. And again, every time I got more and more into it, I just loved it more and more. So then trying to look for a career that I could still do that in. And the Department of Interior is a great place. The National Park Service and Fish and Wildlife Service, they're two great outdoor agencies.
Wow. Yeah, so young people, if there's a camp around that you want to get involved in, Michael told us that's how he initially got involved in wildlife. That's an avenue you can take at your age now, because I know a lot of times as young people, we have desires to get into careers, but we just don't know where to go to get involved, to get our feet wet, to see if we really like it. And so, yes, camps are a great way to get involved, any type of outdoor camp. I know Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, they have camps that go on every summer. So that might be an avenue for young people to look into.
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of summer camps, they'll have CIT programs, counselor and training programs, and that's actually what I did when I started when I was 12, and I was actually hired on when I was 14 as a camp counselor, and I worked as a camp counselor till I was 22, but it was a whole experience, and you get so much skill development there, mediation with kids having different issues and talking to parents and leading activities, and it was incredible. So even if you get into a counselor and training program, and like you said earlier, volunteer for a couple years, it could be a career path, and it got me into the YMCA, and I used it as a career stepping stone later in life. So there's tons of camps out there. You can even do residential camps. I've worked at them. You can go live somewhere in the woods and just work with youth and do all kinds of cool activities. So great way to kind of get out of your home area and just explore something.
Yes, and even if I think you mentioned earlier, your family didn't do a lot of camping, so you didn't really have that experience, but you look for other opportunities in being a camp counselor. So yes,
Absolutely.
young people can look for other avenues, even if they don't have them initially, but their family. So
Yeah.
Michael, how much time did you invest into getting to where you are now? You told us a whole lot. Anything else?
I mean, it's been a career in the making. So, when I graduated college, it was my goal. I went to college thinking I want a job with National Park Service. So it took about 15, 20 years to get there. It was one of those things that I knew where I wanted to be, but I didn't quite know how to get there. I didn't have like a role model or a peer mentor or anything like that to tell me what steps to take. So, I kept taking different jobs, but I always kept focused on what I wanted. And, for this position, all my skills kind of matched up, from the YMCA to Park Service to Americorps. So, just building your skill set as diverse as possible, but keeping honed in on what you want. And it was one of those things, like I said, network, and you mentioned it too. When I was working for Americorps, I was also partnering with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. That led me to Park Service. And then when something opened with Fish and Wildlife, I had that connection. So, it was just a lot of pushing, and, it's pieces will come together. There were times in my career I was like, oh, am I ever going to get there? And then all of a sudden, like, the right job opens and you have the skill set for it. And it's just, you feel great. Like, I've done everything right. So, for me, I was lucky, and it worked out, and I got where I wanted to be, but it was 15 years in the making.
Yeah, so it looks like you took every opportunity that was presented to you, and you just kept building upon each opportunity and building. So viewers, adults too, if you are currently working positions, maybe it's not something that you see yourself doing long term. It could be a stepping stone for something else. So just keep building, say yes to more opportunities, whether it be in your current position or maybe there's another position that's offered to you, because it could lead to something that could be long-term. So great point, Michael. Next question is, what kind of obstacles did you face in the pursuit of your profession?
Obstacles in the pursuit of profession. So two things. One was, starting in the nonprofit world, the salaries are much lower. So you have to be ready for that if you're going to be doing a career of service and be service minded, and helping other people grow and learn and develop. You're not going to make a lot of money off of it in the nonprofit world, but it is very rewarding. And like I said, I use that as a stepping stone to get into the federal service.
Mm-hmm.
Obstacle with the federal service is actually applying and getting an interview. And we can talk about that if you want to, but the application process for federal jobs is very different than the application process for private sector jobs or even nonprofit jobs. So it took me quite a few years to learn that, and actually get a resume crafted that would work for the, for the government website to get an interview. So probably just living on a small salary and then figuring out the federal system in order to get that federal career started.
So can you tell us a little bit about the application process for federal?
Yeah, absolutely. So all federal jobs are posted on USA.gov, usajobs.gov. All federal positions, regardless of what agency they are, they have to go through that website. They can post it on Indeed, you can find it, but it's going to link you to USA Jobs. You need to go like any other profile site. Give me 1 second, our lights went off. There we go. So sorry, all of our buildings are LEED certified, so we have the lights that go off on timers to keep our energy low. So okay, so to get into USA Jobs, go in, create a profile. You can upload a resume or you can build a resume. If you've never done a federal resume, it's going to be a little bit lengthier, but I would encourage you to do the federal resume builder. It'll walk you through step by step, and it's going to let you know what needs to be on a federal resume. So for a federal job, you have to show that you have experience at the grade level lower, and how you do that is time in different positions. So you have to put your start date and end date. Some people might not put that on a regular resume. They just may say, these years, but they want months and years. And also, regular resume, I think now they say is about 2 pages is what's standard. A federal resume, mine is 6 to 8 pages.
Wow.
And the reason for that is when a supervisor gets your resume, they're looking through and they're rating you in certain criteria that were on the job posting. And when I review those as a hiring manager now, you get a score between 1 and 5 for each criteria. And you want to show, normally in a job, if you did managing people, maybe your next job, you talk about organizing programs and not so much that. But on a federal resume, you want to put everything in there more than once because you want to show that you've done it in multiple jobs. And that's how you score the highest and actually get to an interview. So there's a whole world of federal hiring, but there's courses on there now on USA Jobs. You can go through and it teaches you now. There's seminars and webinars and all kinds of stuff that you can join. The other thing is if you're interested in federal service, find a federal employee, regardless of what agency, have them look at your resume and give you some pointers.
Great points, Michael. So viewers, especially adults, I know a lot of people come into the library, they're looking for federal jobs, they don't know how to get in. And Michael has given us some excellent pointers. Go to usajobs.gov, take some of the classes, tutorials, try to get your resume up to par so that you can get an interview. Make sure that you take a look at your skills, any transferable skills that you may have. Make sure you outline those in detail for each position, and also put your start and end date for each position. So your resume is going to be a lot more lengthy, but it's going to get you an interview. So great point, Michael, because we have a lot of people who struggle with that. They want government jobs, they want federal jobs, but they just don't know exactly what to do with their resume.
Yeah, so for your younger folks too, that have just graduated or graduating soon, there is a Pathways program that is a program you can start as a recent grad, and you start, but then you get a position after that if you're satisfactory in your performance. So that's on the website. There's a whole section dedicated to Pathways program, and that's something great for folks that have just recently graduated that you can kind of get in the door and then get a federal job that way. So it's kind of an internship to career path.
So is it high school graduates or college graduates?
College graduates.
Okay.
College graduates. Yep.
Okay, so college viewers, please, if you are looking for something, if you're in between trying to find something, please go to usajobs.gov and see what they have available for you there. Awesome. Next question, Michael, is what advice do you have for someone wanting to do what you do?
Start young. You want to do something. The great thing with National Park Service and Fish and Wildlife, Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, all those agencies within the Department of Interior where you have outdoor careers, even biologists, through Fish and Wildlife. It's a really cool agency that once you're in, you can move around and see all different places throughout the country, and it's incredible. So when you're younger, or if you don't have anything tying you down and you can move around, you can get in and move up pretty quick. I got in and had a family, so I wanted to stay in this area. So my job possibilities were a little bit more limited. But if you start out of high school, college, you start in your 20s when you have no strings attached, and you can start taking jobs out west. There's seasonal jobs. You can get them for 4 months and then move on to another seasonal job. And once you've done that for a year or two, then you start qualifying for permanent jobs, but you're already in the federal system. So you preference over certain jobs. So once you're in the federal system, there are federal jobs that are open only to current federal employees. So get in low and work your way up. But yeah, that would be my biggest advice, is just get in as soon as you can and then work your way up from there.
Awesome. So young people, I hope you're listening. Try to see what opportunities they have available, internships, and get in there and get started so that you can continue your career if this is something you're really interested in pursuing.
And a lot of the seasonal jobs have housing as well. So even if you're not, if you can get yourself out there, a lot of the parks have housing, like Yosemite, Yellowstone. I mean, they house 300, 400 staff members. So they'll give you housing. So don't let that deter you. If you want to apply, they'll put you up, you get paid, great experience. So don't let that stop you.
That's awesome. Most programs don't do that. You have to figure out where you're going to live and how you're going to pay for it. So that's awesome that they offer that.
Yep.
Wow. Very interesting career. Next question is, where have you worked within the industry? You've given us some places, but are there any other places that you didn't mention?
Any other places? No, but there are some other positions that I did as collateral duty. So sometimes you have your main job and then there's other duties as assigned. So another really interesting career that most folks don't even know about is wildland firefighting. And I am a certified wildland firefighter. And I did it with Americorps. And there are programs if youth want to do it, but it is grueling, hard work. It can be 15, 16-hour days. You're digging out in the dirt. You got fire around you, but it is rush. I mean, it's really cool work. But there's all kinds of fire crews, and a lot of times, I'd recommend, the youth that were in my program, the 18 to 24-year-olds, you could go out and do a season of wildfire fighting just in the summer and make enough to cover a semester of school. So even if you're going to make a career out of it, it's great, quick money. Keep you in really good physical shape, so if you're outdoor person or you like to be in shape and have a physical job, outdoor wildland firefighting is a really cool career. You can Google it. There's tons of promotion videos from Forest Service and Fish and Wildlife, and you'll know if it's for you or not. Your first season, you'll know if you like it or not.
Wow. So with the wildlife firefighting, like for example, the fires they had out in California, was that something that crew would get called out to handle?
Absolutely. So we do prescribed fires, which we use on this refuge here at Patuxent. And a prescribed fire is just a fire that we set on purpose. So it might be to reduce fuel loads. So if there ever is a fire, it doesn't burn as hot or as intensely. And then there's other ecological reasons. So if we want to clear out like greenbrier or other invasive species, we'll set a fire on purpose and have containment lines and have crews there to put it out. But then wildfires, like you mentioned, once you're certified, you go on a national list, and it doesn't matter. You could be stationed here, in Maryland, but you could spend the majority of your summer out west where the wildfires are. And again, all that's paid. They pay to get you out there. You get paid while you're there. Lodging, food, all that's taken care of while you're doing it.
Wow, that's awesome. So in order to do that, do you have to have certain things like a high school diploma or a college degree to do the wildlife firefighting?
I don't think so. I don't think you need a high school degree. I know out west, people in high school will do that as jobs. It's a little less common here on the East Coast because we don't have the wildfires. But to my knowledge, I don't think there is an education requirement for it. If you're going to make a career of it, obviously you would need fire sciences and biology and stuff like that. But just to get on a crew and work a season or two, you need some prerequisite courses. So you would need to take some basic fire line safety classes, and those are good for your entire career. So you take a refresher every year, but there are some local academies. I don't know if any of your viewers are familiar with Job Corps, but Job Corps is another federal program that is a job training program for youth. And they do have one out west for wildland firefighting. So if that was something you thought, you could look up Job Corps, get accepted out west, do that program, and then you would have all the certifications and skills you would need to get a job in wildland firefighting.
Wow, very interesting. I've never heard of that before. Next question. So can you compare and contrast different jobs that you've had?
Compare and contrast. Sure. So probably the biggest, difference is, early in my career, I was in the YMCA. It was a lot of program management, a lot of, educating people and doing wellness programs and stuff like that. But the skills were the same. So it was communicating with people, promoting programs, teaching different sessions, whereas I used to teach, soccer classes. Now I'm teaching wildlife and, ecology and stuff like that. So the skill sets were the same, just the backdrop for what I'm doing is different. So it used to be much more community-based. Now it's more environmental-based. But in my position, it's very community-based. We are an urban wildlife refuge because we are so close to Baltimore and DC, two huge urban areas, that we focus on, the urban environment and getting folks from those cities to get out. So again, I loved working for the Y and working with the people, and now I love working, with nature and the people. So it's been the same type of work, just different environments that I've been doing it in.
So again, those transferable skills. So viewers, if you have skills that you're building now in your current position, or maybe you're in between positions, you can use those skills and transfer them to a different position that you may not have originally thought you would qualify for. So try to pay attention to the skills you're building, look at the skills that are listed for the jobs, and try to see if you can transfer those skills that you have when you're doing your resume or filling out those applications. It's very important so that you can get picked for an interview or hired for a position. If you need assistance with that, once we open the library back up, we can work with you on trying to get those skills listed as transferable. Next question, Michael, is how has your field of work changed since the face of COVID?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like everybody else. Your normal is kind of broken, and I started this position. I'm new to the position here at Fish and Wildlife, so I started during COVID. So I haven't even really seen our normal here at the center. So I'm very anxious and very excited to open the center back up and have the public come in, be able to start our programming again. So right now it's a lot of research and educating ourselves and getting programs ready, and taking other opportunities like this to reach out to the libraries and do programs with them. We have some virtual programming coming up through the library as well. So it's been different, but the focus is still there. Our mission is still the same, so we're working towards that. But we are a people-driven organization. We want people to come out. So a little weird not having that, but people are still coming out. So it's great. Our buildings and facilities are closed, but our land is still open. So we have 12,000 acres open to the public. You can come out, fish, recreate, hike, whatever you do, bird watch, whatever you like to do. We're still open. So come on out. If you need to get out of the house or just take a break and commune with nature and just have a peaceful moment, by all means, we're still here for you. We walk the trails and greet people. We just can't let you in the buildings right now, but.
Yeah, great point. A lot of people are staying indoors, but getting out every now and then for fresh air is very refreshing. It's good for the mind, good for mental health, good for the body. So if you can get out at any point in time, try to get out a couple of hours a day if possible, just to enjoy the fresh air and just to get, clarity, be with nature, as Michael has said. So
Yeah,
great.
and our visitorship has gone up 200% since this time last year. So people
Wow.
are coming out. So we're so excited that people are finding us, and I think that is one benefit of COVID. People are like, what can I do to get outside and free and away from people? And here we are. So people are coming out. It's also helped with our diversity. We see all kinds of different folks coming out, folks that might not have seen us before. They're giving us a try. So we love it, and we can't wait to open back up and embrace all our new visitors and get them in some programs and get them really, engaged. So even when COVID's over, they still look at us as a valuable place to come back and spend some time.
Awesome. Yes. So please get out there if you can, get some fresh air. So Michael, how can young people who are still in school find volunteer opportunities to get started? You mentioned a few, but are there any others that they might want to look into?
Yeah, so like I said, the Student Conservation Association starts them young. There's all kinds of trail crews. We also offer, and we'll be doing it next year, it's called the YCC, the Youth Conservation Corps, and different parks host them, but we will have one here at Patuxent. We're hoping to hire 5 to 6 local youth, ages 15 to 18. They would come work for us for 6 weeks for the summer. It is a paid internship. This one does not come with housing, but you would come out. You would work on the refuge with maintenance crews, with visitor services, help us with special events, help us with maintenance work, invasive species removal, all of that. So, that's a local one, but most places have a YCC. There's all kinds of volunteer websites now. That's actually what I did for the Park Service, was I was a volunteer coordinator. And we had thousands of people come visit us a year. Just like usajobs.gov, there is volunteer.gov, and that is a website where all federal agencies can post their volunteer service positions. So you can go on. We have volunteers here. We're looking for adults, youth. We have folks that come out and help youth fish. We have folks in our visitor center that greet people. We have gardeners that come out and take care of our gardens. So there's a wide variety of volunteer opportunities. Just go online, search it out. There's Volunteer Match. There's all kinds of websites now that you can find local service projects, and it's a great way to get experience, and hopefully lead to a career path for you.
Awesome. I'm going to try to see if we can list some of those websites on our main web page so that young people and even adults, if they're looking for volunteer opportunities, they can get connected with those. Appreciate
Sure.
the information. Yes, we're just trying to get people connected with different opportunities. So what are some of the key skills that young people should think about acquiring that apply to all career fields?
Yeah, so we talked about it earlier, but I'm a huge proponent of summer camps. Every time I see a camp counselor or something like that, I know they're going to be well-rounded, right? You say any other job isn't, but customer service, I know you can get it in the restaurant or industries like that, but it's just on a different level with camp counselors. And the thing is, you can start young and you're exposed to so much and you have so much responsibility, and you can grow in that position. But the things that you're going to learn there, I said earlier, conflict resolution, how to mediate problems with people. That's a huge skill that employers are looking for now. It's big money for private contractors to come in and do mediation, stuff like that. Diversity, learning how to work with diverse people. Summer camp is amazing at that. It brings people in, and it's such an inclusive environment. So you have such a great place to learn and grow and develop those skills and meet new people, learn new cultures. So yeah, I would say find something, don't feel like, oh, I'm young, I have to go work at a fast food restaurant, or I have to do this. There's stuff beyond, what's right in front of you. And sometimes it's such a cool experience. Maybe you're not used to living outdoors, but you look at Student Conservation Association, some of the students that have done it, and they'll say it's life-changing. It gets you out of your comfort zone, but it's, even if you don't decide to do it, the skills you learn are transferable. The teamwork, the hard work, the communication, all of that you're going to use. So any type of group programs like that, give them a try, see what they can do for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, camp counselor. I was one for a few years, and I
Nice.
learned a lot. And you're right. You work with adults, you work with kids, you work with all people from all different backgrounds, and you do have a lot of responsibility. And conflict resolution is a huge skill that you build there. So yes, I am an advocate for camp counseling. And then
Yeah.
you get paid a little bit of money too. So. Um, that's something to look forward to. So yes, fast food restaurants don't always have to be the option. Look around, talk to people, network. Young people, you see your teachers every day, just about most of your life. They probably have some type of connection or know someone that you can get connected with to find some type of opportunity for you to get into a field you're interested in. So Michael, what resources or recommendations do you have for people who want to get into your field? You said several. Maybe there's more.
Yeah. Resource, I think we've talked about most of them, but definitely usajobs.gov. Go on there and start early, set up that profile. You can also set searches on there so you don't have to go in every week. You can set up, your salary, your location. It's got a list of filters, and it'll just email you every week and say, these are the jobs we found. So it's a great way to just kind of put the feelers out there and then wait and see what comes in and then apply for what you want. But with USA Jobs, it can be frustrating, so don't get discouraged by it. I think I applied for 2 years before I got my first federal job, so it can take a while, but be persistent, apply for as many as you qualify for. But yeah, I would say that would be our recommendation. And then, some of these other programs that we've talked about. And then volunteering, we talked about that too, is a great way to gain experience. And volunteer experience does count on your USA Jobs resume. So it even says in the job announcements, paid or unpaid work. So even if you have to take a job out of college to pay bills or something like that, but you have some volunteer service when you were younger and could do it, that could lead you into your federal job.
Yes, you made two great, excellent points. So the first one is patience. If you're applying for federal jobs, anything in the government takes time. So if you apply, don't just stop at applying at one place, apply to several places. Like Michael has said, it's taken Michael 2 years to get his position there. So just imagine you starting off, it may take you a while to get into. And then the fact that COVID is here may also slow things up as well. So don't give up, just keep applying. The other point you mentioned is if you're a young person, try to get out there and get any type of counseling or any type of position that may lead you to something else. If you have volunteer work that you're doing, maybe you have a job now, but you volunteer on the side or you're thinking about it, go ahead and volunteer because that's extra experience you can have so that you can get to the position that you want to be in.
Yeah, and some of these positions, from the time you apply until you might hear something, it really could be 3, 4, 5 months. So it's not like a job where you apply, it cuts off within 2 weeks. Just to go through, like you said, the government paperwork, it has to, see who qualifies, and then there's a certification list, and then that has to, gone through. So it's a lengthy process. So don't get discouraged, even if it is 3, 4 months, you might still be in the works for that job. But
yeah, I think a lot of people do get frustrated. They say, well, I've applied. Why haven't they called? It's been 30 days or 60 days. And I just keep telling them, if you haven't heard anything, that doesn't mean that you didn't get it. It means that they're reviewing your application. It's most likely good news. So just be patient if you've applied to any type of government position. It takes them a
yeah, and
while.
on the portal on USA Jobs, it'll actually give you a status so you can go in and see all the jobs you've applied for, and it'll come back and it'll say, under review, not accepted, not qualified, referred. You want to see those referred. You want to see anything in green. The red and the orange aren't good, but when you see something in green, that means you're moving forward. So there is a way to check that status, but it can go unchanged for 2, 3, 4 months before somebody moves on it. So.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us know that because people apply and they get frustrated. But yes, just be patient. You will hopefully get the position. What comments do you have about the industry that people just entering may want to know?
comments about the industry. Um, it's a good industry. I mean, so the Park Service, Fish and Wildlife, the good thing with it is there's a ton of different jobs in it. So we're talking about being a park ranger today. You know, that's my route. But we have folks that make a finance career. You know, they're accountants and they come to work for the Park Service or Fish and Wildlife. There's thousands of jobs in headquarter buildings. So if you do want that suit and tie, you know, working in an office building, doing finance, doing communications, doing marketing, you can still get a federal job in that. So if there's a little bit of you that's like, oh, you know, I value what the Park Service is doing, what Fish and Wildlife is doing, but you say, well, I'm really an outdoors person, you can still get a job. There's IT jobs. I mean, you name it. We need all that infrastructure to keep our rangers, you know, doing their jobs. So I would say don't look at it so narrow. Realize that there's all kinds of positions within the service. And no matter what you get your degree in, there's probably a position for you in any agency if you really kind of look at what they're offering.
Awesome. Yes, great point. A lot of people get stuck on, especially college graduates. I have this degree in this particular field. I have to look for jobs only in this area at this place, but it's not that way. You can use your degree and you can move around to different places. Maybe there's an industry that you haven't looked into before and you have a degree, but you don't know if you quite will fit in with the position. Just look around, check out their website. Most places have a career section on their website. You can see what positions are available. You can read about the mission and vision statements of each company or organization. Just do your research. If you need help, you can reach out to the library staff. We would be glad to help you navigate your career journey. So just do some research, see what's out there. Might be an opportunity for you. You just never know. All right, so getting down to the final two questions.
Okay.
Do you enjoy what you do? I feel like you do from what you said.
I love what I do. You know, like I said, it took me a while. And, you know, with the National Park Service, I worked there 2.5 years. But as I mentioned, my degree is in environmental education. So that's really my passion. That's what I wanted to do. And at the National Mall, it's a historic park, right? It's a park about freedoms and history. And it was cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I loved wearing the uniform. And, you know, it's really powerful to be at one of the monuments and helping visitors. But now I finally put all the pieces together and I'm at that refuge. I'm in the environment. You know, when people are talking, you know, it's stuff that excites me. The history, I was always like, okay, like I don't know enough to jump in. But now, you know, if people have questions about birds or pollinators or trees, you know, it's what I know. So I feel comfortable talking about it. And, you know, it's just such a privilege to be in charge of, you know, a resource that people come from all over to explore. And it's my office every day. You know, I overlook the lake. I have binoculars there. I can look at birds when they come by. I can walk out once we let visitors back in and show them what's on the lake, take a pair of binoculars, talk to them, hopefully just spark that little bit of excitement for, you know, the environment. So I'm truly happy. I get to drive around and explore and see all kinds of cool stuff and, you know, get people hopefully excited to come out and use our land. We have hunting, fishing. So we're going to be starting some fishing programs. We're going to be doing some mentor programs in hunting. So if hunting's something that you've always wanted to do but never know where to start, we're going to have a program for you that you can come in, learn to hunt with an experienced mentor. They'll teach everything you need to know and get you into it. So, you know, again, even because it's something you haven't done, don't write it off. If you have an interest, we're here to try to get you into it.
Well, what's your address there in case people want to come out and get started with wildlife?
Absolutely. So we're on Scarlet Tanager Loop in Laurel, and that's zip code 20708. If you Google the Wildlife Visitor Center, we'll pop up. But we're off 198, which is where our visitor center is. I'm sorry, we're off 197, which is where the visitor center is. But we have 3 different parcels of land. So we have the South Track, which is where I work, that has the large visitor center and some trails and some lakes and some fishing. But then the North Track, that's up off 198. It's a smaller building. It's a parking lot. It's much more remote wilderness, lots of good hiking, biking, trails, fishing, stuff like that. So if you're new to us, I would say come visit us here at the Visitor Center first. We can get you educated and then get you up to North Track to explore out there as well.
Awesome. Hopefully some of our viewers will take you up on that and come out and visit.
I hope so.
So last question. When you first started in your training or education, where did you think you would be?
Oh, that's hard. You don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? So I had always hoped to be in an environmental field, and I think I saw myself as that frontline ranger, doing the programs and talking to people and stuff like that, because when I started exploring more in high school and college and getting out to national parks, I knew I had a draw to them, and I saw these people in the uniform, and I thought that was really cool. But again, I didn't know if that was possible. So, now it's a good mix. I'm happy with what I do, but yeah, I guess this is probably the closest to what I saw myself doing, and I've been lucky to kind of move up throughout the career. And you evolve in your career, right? Like you start as one thing, but most people don't stay there their whole career. So you develop and you get more interests and, you get more skills. So you're more desirable in different areas. So, now I have a really good combination. I get to do, things like this, but I also get to do programs and special events. There is some admin work, obviously, as you, kind of move up, but it's just a great mix of things that I love doing. So everything works.
Awesome. You brought up some great points that, you just never know where you're going to end up, but throughout your journey, you're constantly building your skills, your networking, meeting people, using what you learn along the way to get to where you want to be. So hopefully this has inspired you viewers to look into maybe this career or other careers that we've shared each week. Just keep trying, keep exploring, keep researching to try to find out where you want to be. And the last question is for me, Michael, and it's dealing with our website and our resources. So the last question is, what are some resources the library offers people who are new to the job market or changing careers or looking for new work due to COVID? So basically what you can do, viewers, is go to our website at pgcmls.info. If you go to our online library section, it will lead you to the jobs and careers section, which offers Brain Fuse, career transitions, and the Learning Express library. There you'll be able to do a career assessment to kind of see which career options that are great with you. You can also search for jobs, create a resume, get feedback. There's also a live coach there on Job Now that can assist you with your interviewing skills, maybe review your resume or cover letter and give you support there. Veterans, there's also a section for you if you need specific resources that are geared towards your situation. And then if you are a high school student getting ready for college, there's college prep tools there for you so that you can work on maybe getting into college, exploring different colleges, doing college entrance exams, things of that nature. We have so much to offer there, so please visit our website if you can. Again, Career Chat is each and every Wednesday. Please join us every week as we explore a new and different career. Again, thank you, Michael, for joining us today. It was so interesting to learn about your career as a park ranger. I hope to get down to the park myself, and I encourage our viewers to get out, get some fresh air if you can, and visit one of the parks that Michael has mentioned to us today. Again, thank you, and I am Shannon, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Stay safe, everyone.